3, 4, and 5 are something that you would do on a regular basis. That is how a management system will work. So you will continue to record your evidence. If you are organizing a training on cybersecurity, that's part of maintaining your information. If you're organizing a training on quality management, then that is part of your QMS. So you need to keep track of it. You need to have documented evidence of how many people attended, what was the content, so that you can show it to the auditors. Also, your internal audits, they need to be done at a regular time frame. Your management reviews, they need to be done at a regular time frame. With that, we segue into number 4, which is monitor and review. Again, ISO standards tell you at a very high level what you have to do. They are not prescriptive at all. They are very, very flexible. They don't tell you if you have to do a management review every month, or they don't tell you if you have to do it every year. It really depends on your organization. I have seen customers do it on a monthly basis. I have seen customers do it on a yearly basis, and both are perfectly acceptable as far as you make sure that everything in your management system, any issues or any tasks that are done, are being done. I recommend to my customers that they have to do it every quarter. That is a very, very convenient, and typically ends. I would target them. What I tell them is, just book in the meeting for the whole year. So you have those meetings booked, and then people can come prepared and they know there is a meeting. So it's always just book ahead of time and have it ready. But again, it depends on you, how you frequently you want to do it. If it doesn't make sense every quarter, then do it every 6 months. That is fine. But when you define in your management review policy that you will do 6 months, you have to do it at 6 months. You can't say 6 months, then go and do it every 9 months. If you do it every 3 months, it is still fine. It is good. But then if you change what you have said in your policy, that becomes a problem. And I feel management reviews are a great opportunity for everybody to get together, look at what is working, look at what is not working. If you are implementing this for your client, or if you're doing this in your organization, management reviews is a very, very strong tool for you. That is a way to get management attention. That is the way to show the benefits of the management system, or the benefits of the ISO certification. So I have always liked to use management reviews to get attention from all the management. And lastly, improve. This is where I feel a lot of things fall off. Initially, customers focus on, but then it loses. Again, having those management reviews regularly is a trigger point for a lot of these things, because management reviews cover the entire system. You will look at it, and when you come out of those management reviews, you come out with action items. It keeps the process flowing. And I think the key thing here is that we have to remember why a software is not needed for ISO certification. The auditors look at your system. They don't essentially look at your software. Just because you have a software, you will not be certified. They have to make sure that you actually have the processes and all the controls in place, that you are actually taking everything that you've said in your documentation. I've always tell my customers this, that when you say something in your policy, then you have to do it. For example, let's talk about the disaster recovery test. I see a lot of customers say, oh yeah, we'll do a disaster recovery test every 6 months. But sometimes they don't do it. So that's what I say. That becomes a problem when the auditors come in and say, hey, your policy says it is 6 months, but you have not done it. If you have not done it for a certain reason, there could be reasons. For example, there was no resource capacity, or there were no major changes in the system which triggered a disaster recovery test. Then you have to document that decision, get approval from your stakeholders, and document it. That that satisfies the auditor. But if you say 6 months, 6 months come and you don't do anything, and then the auditors ask if you don't have evidence, that can become a problem. And the documents can be managed manually. There is no need of software. And the third is a very important point. The processes matter more than platforms. That is very true. We have ourselves used platforms before, and whatever we do, you have to make sure you follow the processes. The platform just provides you a way of documenting your SMS. And again, software helps, but it is optional. And again, just the repeat of what we've been saying, ISO standards require a documented and implement management system. They don't essentially mandate a software. It's up to you. Now, a few things that we have seen with softwares is, one, they are generally expensive depending on the size of your organization. The pricing of the software is based on the number of users you have. It can get tricky. And it is also based on your usage nowadays because of the AI usage in it. And what we have also seen is the software needs a lot more maintenance. So unless you have a dedicated GRC analyst, or unless you have somebody who can take that software, maintain it on a day-to-day basis, it becomes very, very difficult to manage the software. Now, I think quite a few asked for this list. It's a big list. Please don't worry. We'll share the PowerPoint with you after the webinar, so you will have all the things that I'm showing here. But auditors asked for quite a few things, and what I have seen is they will generally ask for a set of documents before, which is as per their checklist. But once they get into that checklist, then they need more evidence. For example, one of our customers was asked for management review minutes, and we had the minutes and we sent it to the auditor. But we realized, they had a signature option there and it was not signed. So the auditor came back, okay, can we get a signature, or why was this not signed? So point that I want to make is, when you say that when you have an option on your document to have a signature, you need to make sure the signature is actually there. Otherwise, it will create a problem in terms of what they typically start with. And actually, even before this, they do ask for all the organizational information. They typically ask for who owns the organization. They ask for your registration details. They ask for which country you're registered in. So they want to make sure you are a legal entity before they even start the audit. So you have to be prepared for that. In terms of, they ask for scope, roles and responsibilities. They ask for all your documents, whether you have been doing internal audit, whether you have business continuity, incident management, supplier management, etc. A lot of these things can be a separate document, or they can be one document, multiple things covered in one document. And they don't ask for just document, they ask for evidence. They ask for things like, did you complete your risk assessment? Okay, if you completed the risk assessment, what was the results of it? Okay, and these are the results. Okay, you had a risk treatment plan. Did you actually follow through on that? Are all the risks treated? Okay, when did you do your next risk assessment? Do you do it on a regular basis? Risk assessment is another thing which you have to actually do it regularly. Otherwise, it loses its value. That meeting minutes, these are something very, very common, and we always have problems with it because people don't document, people don't send minutes of meeting. It doesn't have to be a very formal document. It can just be your email. Just record what was discussed in the email. That is enough. Then your suppliers, do you have external suppliers? How do you manage that risk? Then if you found any issues, did you fix it? After you fix it, did you close the issue? Did you test it? Did you make sure that it's working fine? And then, what is the evidence that you conducted the training, the thing that we discussed before? So they actually verify that you have a working system. And when I say working, it doesn't mean it has to be always on and you have to do this every day. This is something. It is what you say you will do. If you say you will do risk assessment every 3 months, you have to do it and document it and have it ready when the auditors ask for it. If you say you will do a disaster recovery test every 6 months, then you either do it or explain why you didn't do it. And that has to be documented as well. So they really look at that. And it doesn't mean that it has to be in a software. It can be documents, it can be emails. As far as you have proof that it has been documented, you will be good. Moving on, I think we are running short of time. So what are the common challenges? Yes, we all love documents. We all love implementing with what we have. I'm a personal believer that if something can be done with the Excel spreadsheet, then you should do it. We should keep things simple, and then all the documents and everything also comes with a challenge. And one of the key things we see is the mapping of controls, risks, and that becomes very tricky. Your policies, your evidence, all the status is tracked manually, evidence scattered across. So even though you're doing it in a document, there still needs to be a certain amount of rigor that goes into it. And most of the times we find some of the issues in stage 1, then it is late, and then things get delayed. And also what we have seeing a trend is a lot of customers, they come, hey, I generated this policy from Claude, I generated this policy from ChatGPT. That can be a problem sometimes because they just generate it and don't read the whole thing. And then it is very generic. So we have seen these challenges on and off, and what we really wanted was a solution. What we see is we have customers who want to just use the document system, and we also have seen customers who want to use the software to do their certification. So these are the two choices, and what we felt is there is no middle ground. There is no middle ground in the sense where we can still use a document-based system, but have the intelligence of the software. And that is where we built ISO Fast Track. ISO Fast Track, the core motto of Fast Track is it is more than templates, it is simpler than software, and you own the output. So when we say own the output, so we have designed Fast Track such that it mimics the process that we follow when we create a document-based ISMS or document-based management system. And we have designed it such that we have stage gates, and at every stage gate, you get a document back out of the system. That is something that you own, it is yours. You don't have to, you don't need access to the system. So that's the one of the main benefits. And what it does is it has templates which are auditor approved. AI just does adding the content. So it just does the customization. So we don't generate everything from AI. There is an option, but there is an option also to use the SME policies, which are from our own toolkits. So it essentially speeds up the process, and it connects everything into one system. So you have controls. We have a controls catalog, which has been reviewed by certified auditors. We use that, and then we have risks and evidence. So Fast Track combines all this together. It shows you the gaps that you have in your document system. Then it is workflow aligned. So we have Fast Track for 27001. We have Fast Track for 9001. Both of them are separate, so we have to build them separate. We are not trying to, one size fits all. And all that you need is one workspace where you can manage projects for your clients. You can manage your projects internally. And what we know is that what our clients want is something that is cost effective. So It is just a one-time payment per standard. Documents are yours to download and take it whenever you want, or you can come back and regenerate them. And you don't pay when you don't use it. It is not a subscription model. It is not something that you will be charged for on a monthly basis. Once you generate your documents, you can go and implement your ISMS and come back when you want to change the documents. So you don't have to pay anything. So now we'll have the fast track demo by Abrar. Abrar, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Swapnil. Thanks for putting in, taking the journey through the traditional implementation of 27001 or any ISO standards. So, team, today I'm here for you all to focus you on how these tools design was made to focus the ISO implementation journey and the policy development more manageable. Our main focus will be for 27,001 fast track. So I'll be walking you through the workflow and the details, and after that I'll give the shorter look on ISO 9000 fast track as well, what we have built. The purpose of this session is not simply to show you the documents being generated from any tool. I want to show you how these tools organize the implementation journey, that reduce the repetitive preparation work and still leave the important decisions with the organization and its consultant. So, what made us to develop the fast track? Let's begin with the familiar situation that an organization decides to pursue 27001 certification, but the project often starts with scattered templates, separate spreadsheet, long questionnaires, and no clear view of how everything connects. The standard itself is structured, but the real implementation process does not always feel that way. Let's say teams may spend a significant amount of time setting up the registers, mapping the requirements, formatting the policies, requesting the evidence and follow-ups, making the notes, capturing the emails, and what sort the different stakeholders. The administrative work in necessary, but it should not consume the time that consultant and internal teams needed for the risk decision. So the actual security improvements in this way, that's the problem the fast track is intended to address. It provides a guide to the starting point and connect the major implementation activities in one structured workflow. It does not make the professional decisions on behalf of the user. I'll put it like this way, so it will be clear for you. Can AI uh, help organization build the foundation of 27001 implementation while keeping the consultants in control? Notice something. We are not asking, can AI replace consultant? Because the answer is obviously no. Because consultant provide experience, they provide judgment, they understand the context of the business, uh, they understand the business thoroughly. So AI cannot replace, but can AI help consultant complete with repetitive implementation work much faster? We believe the answer is yes. And that's exactly why we built the 27001 fast track. So introducing the 27001 fast track, this is not another AI chatbot, and it is not just a document generator, and it is not just another ISO toolkit. Fast track is a structured implementation workflow. Think of it as an AI implementation assistant, one that guides you through the same logical journey what the consultants already follow, the experienced consultant that follow. So I'm going to show you something interesting. We don't ask you to upload the policies. We don't ask you for somewhere 200 questions. We simply ask about your organization, and that's the interesting part. So I'll proceed with this. We have fast track 27001. So I'll give the basic details. The company name as the Techno-PM. We have employee count somewhere around 11 to 50. The industry we deal with is the technology. The primary country is US. So our hosting environment is AWS. Let's say also consider the Azure, which we process the data like personal data and payment card details. We are trying to implement it for the first time. So I'll select this. The risk appetite is medium. So let's say we'll make it high. So once I complete the journey and everything is set up for me, I can see this dashboard. This dashboard represents the implementation journey, not the document folder or not the templates. So I'll put you the note here. I'm just switching the tab because I'll show you the already populated data, or else once I start doing this, it will consume the more time and it will not make you understand what actually we are trying to focus here. So this is already populated data. Once we complete all the 10 stages, we land up like this. So in the first stage, we have these parameters where we have 5 different parameters where we can give the inputs and get the output in terms of roles and responsibilities populated in one single table. That is in the next step, risk and ownership. We can add our website, we can upload any document, we can give a screenshot. The backend engine will process and fetch the ISMS owner, governance roles, approval authorities, and once I hit an extraction button, then I can see the roles and ownership have been populated here. We also have an option. Once we go next, we can see the org structure. We can play around, we can do the changes, we can make or change the hierarchy of this organization. So in the final review and approval, I can just verify every populated data is good to go. If not, I can also have a button to edit the stage where I can also edit, check to change the ISMS roles or any designation of the person or the responsibilities. So in every stage, we can see this download button where each and every stage we can download. So far, what all we have given the inputs. At this stage, we can download the roles and responsibilities, compliance, ownership, and register ISMS governance charter. This is the stage-wise generation, as well as we can download all the stages at one stage. I'll be showing you at the final 10th stage how we can download that. So going on to the next stage, that is ISMS foundation. That here we can see the scope is being written by the fast track, where this fast track engine will analyze the previous inputs, give understand the company internal and external stakeholders each by considering each and everything. It will document one scope, and it will show us the in scope systems, what are the locations of the scopes, and whether we are excluding any of the part from the organization. Based on that, we have to just verify after the final review. We can see the fast track has just populated the interested parties and the internal and external issues with the categories. So in the final review and approval, I can verify on the documented scope is good to go. If not, I have an edit stage where I can edit and add or delete any of the required data. At this stage, I can see we have been developed the scope document, organizational chart, and are interested in external context of the organization. So going on to the stage 3, we can see the risk methodology. In risk, it defines how the risk have been evaluated, what is the likelihood and impact, and how we accept the risk, and what basis and what criteria. So jumping on to the risk criteria, how it will show you how we accept the risk, and once we hit the confirmation, we'll see the method of approval. What is the method we are approving this risk? Even at this stage, we can see these many documents have been can be generated. In the first stage, we can see the risk assessment, which is the important part of any ISO ISMS standards. Instead of generic risk, the fast track creates the risk-based implementation, where you can see it has been populated in this table of the risk asset register. And if at any stage we see if any extra assets to be added, then we have an option to edit the stage and start adding it from here. So it will be documented in this table. In the next, we can see risk based on the assets, and here we can see what are the treatment decisions made, whether we accept, treat, or avoid, mitigate, or transfer. We can give a final review and approval for this. Also, we can see we can download asset register, risk register, treatment, and the threat and vulnerability library. So the next stage, that is control and SOA. The fast track will analyze the previous inputs and all these previous 5 stages. Based on that, it will show us what are the applicable controls to our organization. It will just generate it, and ultimately the ownership leads to our the organization person, where he can make the final decision which are the controls applicable to their organization, and decide with their consultants. So at this stage, once we move on further, we can give the justification and ownership for this. We can see what are the applicabilities and what are the non-applicables on this. We can finally review what are the organizational controls for 30 organizational controls. We have 37 peoples, and control 8 are controls are applicable. Physical, we have 10 controls are applicable. Coming to the policies and procedure, we can see the actual policies and procedures, where we can see what are the policies being generated. So this is the policy being generated so far, and we can see what are the controls address based on our fast track library. We can see what are the policies generated so far. So the final stage, we can see what are the policies to be accessed from this stage. Here in the evidence part, we can just give our inputs. What are the evidence we are giving? Without the evidence, no certification exists. We believe in our organization. And in this the final audit and planning, so the system is already understand what should be audited, with helping the internal auditors prepare the structured reviews. In the management and review, the management has the ownership to review what are the given inputs from the organization, and final authority remains with the organizations and the consultant. Um, Based on that, they can approve the final stage. After the final stage, they can just download these many registers and documents, and they are good to go for the certification readiness. They capture the readiness checklist. They ask the few questions, and based on that, the AI also suggests what to be complied with. And finishing that, we capture for leadership, planning, support and policies, operations, performance evaluation and improvement. Finally, we approve each and everything, and just generate the final part. I'll just show you the final part. This is how we generate. We have come so far for the certification journey. We can download all the stages from 1 to 10 at a one single stretch. To show you the master list of ISO report, it will show you actually how these tools perform. So this is the implementation readiness master list, where it will show you what and at what stages we have been documented, what is being covered in which stages. So it will be easy during the audit uh, purpose, where we can finally showcase to the auditors at what stage we have been done the documentation and the risk register and evidence part in what area. So let's say, for example, if we ask for planning risk and objectives, we can say it is present in stage 5 and stage 3, where also it had been addressed as a residual risk reviewing is pending. So in this way, we can see each and everything. This master list will tell you at what stage we have been uh, in place. So this completes the 27,001, and coming to 9,001, 9,001 also plays the same role here. So in 9,001 fast track, I'll give you a short review on actually it applies to the same methodology, but with a different approach. And the 9,000 focuses on organizational ability to consistently meet the customers and applicable requirements while improving its processes and overall performance. The information security controls to quality and process effectiveness, customer satisfaction, and continual improvement. This approach is similar in that the organization defines the context of the organization. It extracts all the roles and responsibilities. It generates the org structure, and it will give the foundation of the QMS. It generates the scope. It will guide you on to select the process in scope, operational locations, and we can also see the risk register. There are and also the opportunities. What are the objectives linked to this risk? And we can see the process register where each and every processes is been linked to the each and every stage, and depending on that we find the SOA, statement of applicability. This fast track will generate the applicable controls. Based on that, we have the authority or ownership of the organization has the authority to whether accept the required controls or not. After that, even we can generate at each and every stage, we can generate the document here as well. So we can see at this stage, we can generate SOA, control catalog, ownership register, and applicability justification. In the next stage, we can see the policies and mapping the policies and what we till here how many policies we have been generated. We can actually view the policy as well here. So far it has generated for we have an option to edit as well or enhance with AI. We can make the changes or add, delete. It reside to the user. So we can also document the evidences and the checklist. And in the 7th stage and the 8th stage, we can see the internal audit, where the system already understand what was audited, and helping the internal auditors to prepare in the structured reviews. And finally, the management review is where the management's involvement is essential in ISO 27,000. And this stage brings the governance, audit, result, and performance together. And in the final stage, here also we capture few of the readiness checklist and generate the final result. So this completes the 9001. To say the final words, everything is connected, everything is structured. I'd like to leave you one thought that 27,000 or 9,000 is not difficult, but implementing it consistently is. So yes, Swapnil, I completed, and I'm back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Abrar. That was quite helpful. I hope you can see my screen. You can see the PowerPoint.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on the final question is, how can you use fast track? There are 3 options. One is the DIY fast track, which is you just sign up for the fast track workspace, and it is assigned to you, and then you can go through the documentation. You can run the whole process yourself. It is $499 one time per standard. You don't have to pay anything again. It is lifetime access. The workspace is there for you to come back and do anything you want to do. We also offer two other options, the Express and the Done for You. The Express is where our team generates all the documents that you need. So you just need to tell us a few things, and then we'll go and generate the documents for you. You can review them online before you sign off, and it's a very low risk activity. You start with just $79. We generate the documents, and then when you review them, you're ready to go. That's when you pay the remaining. The Done for You is for somebody who wants us to manage the entire certification end to end. We do everything required, running management reviews, running internal audits, running your risk assessments. We essentially take over and run the whole. It's pretty much, you can also say, on autopilot when we do it. And we also coordinate with the external auditors. We make sure you are ready for the audit, or we fix whatever is needed. This is essentially where you give us the whole responsibility. And we have a very reasonable pricing schedule for it. You don't have to pay everything up front. And the certification is actually given by an external body. We can't certify because we are implementers. We offer a free ISO consultation. There should be a link in the chat. If you want to explore any of this or just need any advice, please book the session and we'll be happy to help. These are some of the customers who we have worked with in the US, Sweden, primarily. And then finally, the questions. So we received a lot of questions from everyone, which is great. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We would love to answer each one of them, but unfortunately, because of time constraints, we have to put them into themes. So one of the themes that we saw was there was a lot of questions around integrated management system, how you set boundaries for it. I think integrated management system is a great way to approach ISO certification because one, if you are going to have multiple ISO management systems, it makes sense to have things in common. For example, you could have a common risk register. You could have a common management review policy, and you can run your management reviews. You can have one common non-conformance register. You can have one common policy for the entire scope. So there's a lot of synergies, and what we think between 27001 and 9001, that's the combination that we see quite often. I would say there's roughly around 30 to 40% that you can have in common, but the most common and the most closest are 9001, 45001, and 14001. There it goes up to 50%. So of your systems overlap. So it means lesser time. It doesn't directly mean that you reduce 50% of the time required to implement, but it makes it more efficient. And where do we draw the boundaries? That's a very good question. Sometimes it gets very complex. So for us, the boundaries are driven by the standards. For example, when we do 9001 and 27001, you can have a common risk register, but you still have to take care of the Annex A controls in 27001. So that's when it gets separated. Your QMS doesn't need a password policy, so you need to have a password policy. And then this one. So the boundaries are typically driven by standards, but I would say there's at least 30-40% of common things. Certification and recertification. So the certificates, the first time certificates are issued for 3 years. So once you have the certificate, you have to go through a surveillance audit in the first and the second year. They are pretty light. They just come and probably spend a day or less than that to look at you doing what you're supposed to. And the third year is when you do a recertification audit. That takes time. I would say it probably takes around 60 to 70% of the original certification time. Cost, it really depends on where you're doing the certification and who you want to do your certification with. There are various options there. What we see is if you are planning to do it within the US or UK, you want a local auditor to come and do it, it can go between 15 to 20 to 25K, depending on the size. But we have also known network partners who do it for less. At the end, what's important is you get an ISO certification. Now, all these certification bodies across the world give you the same certificate. They are probably associated with different registrars, but at the end, it is the proper valid ISO certification. We are going to have a session in a few weeks to talk about how you can maintain your certification, but from whether the certificate is issued by somebody in Europe or whether the certificate is issued by somebody in the US, the value of it is the same. It is typically where you do it makes the price difference. Internal audits, it's quite a challenge to work across with process owners and across units. In larger organizations, what we have seen is communication is the key. You have to have a proper plan. You spend a lot more time when you're working across departments. When otherwise, if you're working with a small business, it's easy, you access them. But what we have seen challenged with internal audits in bigger organizations is resource availability. People are not generally available, and finding out who actually does the job takes a lot of time. Sometimes the work actually to be done is just a few hours, but trying to find out who does it, trying to get them to a meeting, trying to understand what are their problems takes longer. So yes, it is a challenge. Evidence risk assessment, yes, very important and a very critical phase because the risk assessment drives a lot of things. Evidence, definitely yes. It's a big deal for auditors because they are putting their certification online. And then management reviews, again, a very, very sticky point for customers. And then documentation and control. Yeah, I mean, see, Word and Excel, the challenge, like we said before, is you have to do it manually. And what works for me is like having regular checkpoints for our customers, regular checkpoints every month. You have to spend some time making sure what policies are outdated, what needs approval. It's always good to have a fixed time in the year when you review all your policies and get an approval, because then it can be driven by that timeline. The Annex A controls, I mean, that's a separate discussion, but it is essentially a 27001 specific control list. I think the biggest challenge with the Annex A is people get confused that we have to implement all of them. No, you don't have to. It depends on what is applicable to your business. As far as you can give a justification to the auditor saying this was not applicable because of these reasons, then you should be good. I think the next two are related to careers, and to be honest, we can have a separate session on that. But in short, what we feel is it's quite a challenging market to be in, but the biggest opportunity that we see is in the local markets. We see a lot of customers who want to work with an auditor in their local market, and that is the biggest advantage. That is the biggest strategic move you can do in terms of building a career in the compliance space, because compliance is about trust, and people tend to trust who they know or who they know can come and see them, who they know are in their local environment. So it plays a big, big role when you want to make a career in compliance. Always tap into your local market or your network. I think that's the advice that I can give other than the training. And the next webinar is going to be on 6th August. Before that, Abby, do we have any questions?
No, because I think we have covered all the aspects, and everybody is clear on the agenda, and we have covered all the questions.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
So the next webinar will be how do you maintain, or essentially what are the risks of you losing your certification. You will get an invite for that shortly. As I said, you can book free ISO consultation, and we'll be happy to help with any queries you have. I think we are over time by 15 minutes. Thank you very much for staying with us. I appreciate the patience and appreciate you guys taking the time to attend. Please reach out if you have anything. We are always here. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.